that I'm going to talk on is a variety of things, all pertaining to the retailer. Okay, and I believe that is the most important part of any channel. Any pipeline is good as long as the tap is open. The tap means the end of the pipeline, which is you, the retailer. As you, the retailer, are open and selling product, everybody else in the pipeline is always going to be busy working and trying to fill the pipe so that you have a constant supply. If the tap is closed, the pipeline gets clogged, and after that, no matter how much the vendors try to fill it up, it's not going to work. So you are the important part of it, and we are going to look at what are the things that you can do. The first thing I'm going to talk of is about brand management. Now, why is brand management important? Today's millennials, who are going to be your real customers for the next decade and two, or the Generation Z for that matter, are all very brand conscious. And unlike popular opinion, I do believe that they are brand conscious not because they have an ego or just that they want to show off. They are conscious about a brand because they believe that a brand delivers on certain promises, on certain principles. And these promises and principles are very critical to them. They follow a brand, they become patrons of a brand, not because of anything, but for the principles, the values that that brand stands for. It is not infrequent to find a great brand being ostracized by certain customers only because of stories that come out about their mistreating their employees or not being fair to the trade or various other reasons. So it's not just a question of them loving the name or loving the logo or any of that thing, or not even the product for that matter, but it's the overall image, overall promise that the brand delivers. I'm sure if I ask any of y'all, what are the top brands in the world today? At least when it comes to me, the top three brands that always come to my mind is Apple, Google, and Amazon. Okay, and I believe that if we look at the brand valuation, it is really in that order where Apple has the most value. I think it's close to about $250 billion. And Google is next, and then comes Amazon. Now, how do these brands get to where they are? And that is the key question that we'll all have to answer and look at. So, I'm first going to go through very quickly what are the first steps to building a brand. What is the initial steps to building a brand? When you decide that you want to create a brand, when you decide that you're going to go that path, what are the things that you first need to do, understand, and imbibe into your system, into your culture, to make that brand successful? So the first step is that you need to position with the big picture in mind. Okay, it's not about product at all for that matter. I mean, brands, people don't come to you because you have a cool product. They might initially, but then they don't stay with you. So it's not that they care about your cool product. What they care about really is whether your cool product or even an uncool product, does it change their lives for the better? And this brand promise is something that you need to convey with tremendous impact, because this is the first reason why somebody is going to follow you, follow your brand. And there are times when people will buy something of your brand if you're delivered on that promise consistently, even without looking at the product. As we know in Apple's case, their iPhone, every time people pre-book without knowing anything about it, without having seen the product, without having felt the product, without having any report on the product, people buy it. So because Apple has made that promise and it lives up to the promise consistently. Let's see how they've lived up to the promise. Previously, I remember whenever I would have a computer, it would either be a gray color or a beige color, and something that was really like a big box, okay, and it was absolutely not pretty. It may have been functional. What did Apple do? Apple went and created colorful Macs, which were just as functional, maybe slightly better, maybe slightly different, but they went and created colorful Macs, which people love to keep in their room or their office and work on. You know, I think colors tell you that gray is actually a very dull color. Okay, it is not a very happy color. But then there were Macs available in pinks and purples and blues and greens that made work fun. Okay, or take the iPods. How did they promote the iPod? And not only promote it, it did deliver exactly what they were talking of. All the iPod ads that I can remember were of people having the iPod on them, the headphones on their head, and swinging and dancing all the time. They were dancing their hearts out. And that is what happened in real life too. Or look at the way the iPhone has progressed. Today, the intuitive user interfaces that Apple creates for most of their product are something that the others don't even probably imagine. Yes, they do come out with the same kind of an intuitive UI after Apple does it, but they don't imagine it to begin with. And I think the best part that I love, I use a Mac and I'm never worried about any virus. Literally, a Mac, the operating system, or whatever that they do with it, is virus proof. This is what Apple is all about. What is the next big product from Apple that we are looking at? Self-driving cars. And self-driving cars are going to be a big thing. And the minute Apple said they're the same, everybody is upbeat about it. Not as upbeat when Google's talked about it or when Tesla even talked about it. So self-driving cars, and they're going to look cool. Apple products have always looked cool. They've always been easy to use and easy to maintain. So what I'm trying to say here is that everything that Apple does fits into the bigger picture that they have created, and which is sleek tech to improve life. That is what they are all about. Giving you sleek product, technological product, which is consistently and constantly refining your life, improving your life. And one thing I admire about this thing is that they relentlessly refine. I have never seen any Apple product being stagnant for any period of time. So that's the first thing. The thing you need to do after that is you need to define your brand personality. At the end of the day, we need to remember that a brand is not, I repeat, a brand is not anything but a human being. Okay? You have to create your brand in such a way that it has a unique personality. It has a unique mannerism, so to say. It has a unique way of thinking, so to say. Pretty much like any human being. Okay, just having a nose and 2 ears doesn't make a man a brand. But his mannerisms, his principles, his personality, is he outgoing, is he an introvert, and his way of thinking, this is what defines a person. And this is what makes the person a brand. These are the same traits that make a brand, a product brand, a brand that it should be. So, what can you think of when you look at how the personality should be defined? How should people feel when they use your product? Should they feel happy? Should they be careful? Should they just have fun? This is going to be a characteristic trait of your brand. If your brand were a person, which I say it is, how would people describe the brand? him or her, it doesn't matter which way you want to position your brand. But how would people describe? Oh, Apple tech. The immediate thing that comes to mind when we talk of Apple is, oh, high tech and reliable tech. In the same way, when I talk of, say, Tata, one of the first things that comes to mind of Tata as a brand is reliable, benevolent, okay, honest. So these are traits that a brand cultivates over a period of time. But these traits you need to define the minute you start creating a brand, because that is what is going to determine the path that you will take for creating your brand and promoting it on a regular basis. And not only that, in today's world, you should also be a little sure and maybe define, shall I say, who your spokesperson will be. What I mean by spokesperson is, if you're a young, fun brand which you expect youngsters to use, I don't think media ads are going to be very important. It's going to be everything about social media, networking, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. So your spokesperson has to be decided. If you're creating something for the 70-year-olds, 60-year-olds, even maybe 50-year-olds, then maybe newspaper ads, magazine ads still make a difference. I don't think youngsters today read anything. Even if it's a book, they want to hear it. So you have to decide who your spokesperson will be. And depending on your positioning and depending on the way you want your brand to be, you have to decide whether that person should be a he or a she. It should be whether that person should be intelligent or dumb, whether it should be stylish or uncool, whether it should be a hip-hop kind of a guy or an office studious kind of a guy. You have to decide and picture the right person, and that is going to be the image of your brand. Having said this, what is the next logical thing that you need to do? You need to develop a virtual look and feel for your brand. At the end of the day, you want to see the person. You don't want to know his characteristics and his traits and everything. You want to see the person. And that person's dressing, that person's image should also match with the expectations that you are creating about the brand positioning, about the brand characteristics. So now what you have to do is to pick a logo, pick a color, pick a palette, define and develop a visual look. And this visual look should be matched all over. What I mean by matched all over is that I'm not going to wear with my characteristic, I'm not going to wear a green shirt and a yellow pant and purple shoes. Okay. Me, I'm not a peacock. I'm not that kind. So what am I going to wear? I'm going to wear a blue shirt with a dark blue pant and maybe black or blue shoes. That's going to be me. In the same way, depending on how you want your brand to appear, you need to pick the color palette, you need to pick the kind of logo that you have, the kind of fonts that you have, whether you want thick fonts, whether you want trendy fonts. All of this is a package which gives the visual look and feel of your brand. And it extends right from the logo, right from what people see first appear your brand, right up to the carry bag and the boxes or the packaging in which your product is delivered. Everything has to be falling in place and consistent. You cannot have a very modern looking box which is specially designed no matter what, and then you say that, okay, this is going to be for a brand which is very plain and straight. It doesn't happen that way. So your visual look and feel has to be something that is consistent right from the start to the end of your brand's communication, interaction with every customer. But in today's times, as generations change, as your customers change, the look and feel has to change. And we can see it in so many brands. Whether it's a Coca-Cola, whether it's an Apple, they have all evolved and changed everything, including their logo. Sometimes just a logo, the color remains the same. But they keep evolving, they keep changing as the consumer base changes. And even your brand, you should create and represent it in such a way that there is always a space, always positioning that can be done where you can evolve to make yourself relevant to the audience. I mean, what looked sleek for me when I was a kid, people today will laugh at it. So they need to change. You know, Apple's old logo with that multicolor bands and everything, and what they are today is plain, simple, black and white. Evolve. As the world evolves, as maybe your product evolves, you need to change. So you need to have a visual look and feel for your brand. And then, as we said a little earlier, you need to pick the platforms. What are going to be where are all these personality traits, the visual guidelines and everything that you create, where is it going to be? And what are your platforms? Your platforms are everything you do with the brand, starting with your product. Your product is a platform, okay? From your product to your website, to your partners, to the kind of channel partners you have, to the kind of social media advertising you do, everything has to be synced. It has to mesh with everything and be consistent. Most brands have very extensive and very specific terms and documentation set up of how the retailers should be displaying the brand, selling the brand, invoicing the brand, delivering the brand, every single thing. And they are very, very important because that gives you a consistent look, feel, and recall value in the mind of the consumer at all times, everywhere. And having said that, since we say that you need to create a great, terms and conditions, it's equal to bringing a brand charter. And what you need to do is to create a brand charter for everybody, right from a vendor to the seller. Okay? Yes, if we take some big established brand like an Apple or a Google or something, they probably have a team of maybe 50 people, 100 people who are doing this all the time. And as an entrepreneur, as a small startup, as a smaller business, you may not be able to afford that kind of a luxury. Fair enough, no issues. But what you can surely do is start documenting everything you need. Create the brand charter on a small step-by-step methodology. It doesn't need to be fancy, but you need to cover certain key areas so that your brand communication to the consumer is always consistent. And then whatever you have discussed, whatever you have written, share it with everybody. Share it with your vendors, share it with your employees, share it with your contractors, share it with your partners. Everybody who is involved in creating the brand value should know what you want. So let's call this a charter. Yes, as you grow, as you get more and more into a larger audience that is handling your brand, you need to become more and more technical about every aspect. Okay. In fact, there will be a time when you'll say that, okay, my counter of display, which Rolex does, by the way, cannot be 2 feet by 2 feet. It has to be 1 feet, 9.5 inches by 1 feet. Because why? That goes well with the product. Maybe that goes well with this. Maybe that just makes them different. Okay. So you have to create a brand charter and define it. Once you build your business with all these factors in mind, you are well on your way to becoming a very good and serious brand. Okay, so now we know that what you need to do before your brand comes. but what do you need to do on a regular basis so that your brand always stays consistent, top of the mind, true to its philosophy, and everything else that we've been talking of. The first most important point is build the right attitude for your brand. I have this thing which I convey to a lot of my mentees as well as people to whom I give talks, saying that at the end of the day, your altitude in life is not dependent on your aptitude. Please remember, your altitude in life is not dependent on your aptitude, but it is dependent on your attitude. Not to say that aptitude is not important, but even if you have the best knowledge, but your attitude is not something that people are comfortable working with, that people appreciate and are willing to help, all of that knowledge that you have, all your aptitude is going to go to a big knot. So build the right attitude. Now, right attitude is not only about you having the right attitude, it is also about your brand having the right attitude. Remember, always think of your brand as a person, and then only will you be successful. So when we talk of attitude, we talk of your brand as a person, and therefore that brand also should have the right attitude. Okay? A good attitude, whether it's in personal life or in business, is something that everybody will appreciate. Why only appreciate? I think they would even admire it. So it is something that is always appreciated and admired. And a good attitude is the starting point of building character and really solid relationships. At the end of the day, for your brand to succeed, you need to form a relationship with your customers. Always relationships go a long way in developing, creating, maintaining, harmonizing everything that you do. So once your attitude is taken care of, there are a lot of challenges that just automatically disappear. It's like they never existed. The next thing you need to do is prepare well. Success is the point at which preparation and opportunity meet, and that meeting, that fusion, that sangam, so to say, is where success starts. You need to be compulsive listeners. The best way to improve anything and everything you do is to listen. Not just listen, but you need to act on it. So listen, become methodical observers, note down everything. Don't just say, I will remember it. A short pencil is far better than a long memory. Another of those cliches. A short pencil is better than a long memory. So please write down everything you listen to, everything you observe, and act on it to eradicate that irritation which you notice. Whether it's with a vendor, whether it's with a customer, whether it's with a user, whether it's with a supplier, whoever it is, if you have noticed, if you have heard of anything that irritates the process, please make sure that you act on it and make that irritation disappear. And to understand your consumer properly, I think the best thing, the main thing you need to do is to stay connected with your consumer at all times in an omni-channel way. Whether it is Facebook, whether it is Pinterest, whether it is Instagram, whether it is email, whether it is phone calls, whatever it is, let your customer speak to you through the channel that he or she is comfortable with, and give them seamless connections. If he has made a complaint on a phone once, but next time he emails you, let it not appear as though you don't even know that he has complained. In fact, it's not a question of appearance. Make sure that you know that that complaint had been registered earlier and you address it or respond to the email in a knowledgeable way and not say that, sorry, sir, we'll look into it. Say, yes, we have received this complaint. We are still looking into it. Please give us another 24 hours, another 48 hours, whatever you need. But once you acknowledge that that consumer's challenge has been registered with you, you have already made or put a foot into that consumer's mind and heart both. So these kind of preparations are very important. Of course, you need teams to do all this. And as you grow, these teams are important. But these are necessary. These are not just expenses, these are investments. Because it is these expenses that are going to give you returns in the future. The next point, I think, is focus. Don't ever lose your focus. If you are a manufacturer of studded jewelry, don't just one fine day decide to go into plain gold jewelry. Everything about that is different, trust me. I know retailers sell a lot of product, but then they are a different business. But the same person who is selling plain gold jewelry in the retail shop is not going to be an expert at selling diamond jewelry. Okay? Because the first basic challenge would come in the knowledge that that salesperson has. He or she may not have enough knowledge to convince the consumer that this product is right for them. Okay? So you need to focus. And you may not always get what you want, okay? But if you try real hard, relentlessly, I can promise you, you will definitely get what you need. I'm still not saying you will get what you want, but you will definitely get what you need if you push and focus real hard and relentlessly pursue that goal that you have set your focus on. I think the next point that I would like to talk about is positivism. A lot of times I have seen people who are generally always or most often negative about the way things move, the way product comes out. That's not a good sign. If you are negative about something, that means you yourself are not convinced. If you yourself are not convinced, how are you ever going to convince somebody else to buy the product? Doesn't happen. But a good amount of positivism can make an average product good and a good product great. Always be positive in everything you do. Whether it is communication in your advertisement, whether it is communication with people, whether it is your person who is on the phone talking to a customer, an irate customer for that matter, be positive. Make positive statements. Give them positive commitments. Practice positivism all through, right across every channel. And all of this has to be done in a consistent manner. It cannot be one-off. You need to consistently do everything that you do about your brand. You cannot one day have an advertisement with a logo, and the second day have an advertisement only with your name, and a third day have an advertisement with both your name and logo, but in colors that are not your brand colors. No, you need consistency. In the same way, you need consistency about your product. You cannot today deliver a product that is of very high quality and superior finish and everything, and then the next time that customer walks in, they find a piece of jewelry where, okay, it gets stuck on their clothes, or it's not well finished, or the stones are set like the roads of Mumbai. Yeah, they're not just straight, they're not level. So you need to have consistency, and the best way to develop consistency is to write what you do, relentlessly refine it, and then get your team and yourself to do what you write. That is the surest and easiest way of making sure that you are consistently delivering the right everything about a brand, whether it's the right characteristics, whether it's the right image, whether it's the right visuals. Everything has to be consistent. My tagline, which I've kept consistent for the last many years, probably about 15, 17 years, is innovate or perish. I am a very strong proponent of innovation. I believe innovation is the only key to success. The minute you stop innovating, you're on the path to perishing. Innovate or perish. And innovation is not just about creating a novelty. It's about something doing different. It's about doing something that is genuinely unique. It is about doing something that genuinely improves the life and experience of the user. And trust me, I do not know of any company that has consistently innovated as much as Apple has. Okay, and we can clearly see they are the leaders. There are many people who might be better businesses than Apple. Okay, in the sense that Samsung may probably sell many more phones than Apple. Even an Omni might sell many more phones than Apple. But Apple, if anybody wants innovation, if anybody expects something new all the time from a brand, it is clearly Apple. And they've lived up to that promise. They've lived up to the promise from the stage of inception till today. It was not only Steve Jobs, but he's created a legacy. He left a whole culture of innovation, which today also is flourishing at Apple. So innovation is something that you cannot and should not ever stop innovating, because the minute you do that, you're down in the dumps. Okay? And to innovate, you need to be creative all the time. So the next important thing is creativity. Your brand must embrace and promote and encourage creativity within the whole team. And it's not only about product. It may be the way the salesman talks to the customer in the shop, maybe the way the invoice is made in the shop. It can be anything, and trust me, there is enough scope for creativity through the entire process, right from the idea up to selling the product to the consumer. And to be creative, there is one small thing that you need to learn. Very simply, challenge conformity at all times. Just challenge it. Nothing is what you will conform to. The minute you challenge conformity at all times, you are on your way to being creative, and any creative idea can then be pursued with proper innovational challenges to even maybe get you a new product. Who knows? Okay. So that's the 7th point. The 8th point is, I truly believe that every human being has some kind of a special power, some kind of a superpower within him or herself. And these superpowers, we see a lot of movies, and even in real life, we see somebody saving a dog from a manhole, or saving a child from falling down, or saving a cat from a tree, as small as that. They did not know when they did that they had that power. It's just that they rise to the occasion. They made sure that they gave their best. They made sure that they used the hidden superpowers that they had. And in the same way, your brand has superpowers, which you need to use, which you need to unleash, and of course, First, you need to realize that you have them. So, the minute you start creating, the minute you start using creativity, the minute you start innovating, the minute you work with positivism, all these superpowers will automatically start surfacing. Because when you break or go away from conforming to what is the norm, you're going to find that you have some power which you never knew existed. But if you're going to just stay conformed, then you're going to get the same result you get every day. If you don't change, if you keep doing what you did every day, you're going to get the same result that you did every day. Okay? So you need to use your superpowers. You need to be authentic about everything that we have said till now. All the 8 points of how to maintain a brand, as well as the 5 points on creating a brand. Everything you do has to be authentic. You cannot do it with just what we call lip service. No. You have to believe in it. You have to imbibe in it. You have to live the brand. As a brand creator, as any person who's associated with the brand, you have to live with the brand. I think one example, glorious example of this is the Taj Hotels. What they do, what they say, and what every single employee of Taj does for their customers, for their patrons, is absolutely unimaginable. And I'm sure we've all heard stories about how they saved the lives of people who were there in the hotel, whether they were dining, whether they were staying, even at the cost of some of their own lives during the 26/11 blasts, terrorist attack. So, authenticity about everything you do. Last one, which is not something that you would hear people talking about when they talk of branding, but which I think personally is very, very important, is benevolence. Today's youngsters are very, very aware, are very, very desirous that the world improves its ways, whether it is about creating the right kind of work atmosphere, whether it is treating your employees fairly, whether it's treating Mother Earth fairly, whether you are doing your bit to improve the world. Benevolence of every kind, according to me today, has become a necessity. And I'm not saying it because some government rule says that you have to spend some money on CSR. Yes, corporate social responsibility is important, but I'm not saying it because of that. I'm saying it because that is a value. That is a value that every single human being likes, admires, appreciates. So build benevolence in some way into your brand. I remember reading somewhere that Tatas have a system where a certain profit percentage automatically goes to charity. There are many ways of doing this. It depends on what you believe in. It depends on which are the organizations or the areas you might want to help. Education, you might want to help medicine, you might want to help healthcare, you might want to help research, whatever it is. But there has to be a benevolence that is associated with your brand image. And I think you need to do this very well. Having said this, I think I have been able to convey to you a fairly reasonable idea of what branding is all about and how you would go about the task of branding. Branding is something that is never done. Please understand this very clearly. You are never done branding. You're never done doing anything in life. There is always going to be a way to do it better, to do it faster, to do it cleaner, whatever thing, but there is always scope for improvement. And therefore, once you have defined all these parameters, Don't just go and sit down and say, done. Keep your feet on the table and say, okay, I'm set. No, you are never set. And that is why those two words which I have used quite often already, relentlessly refine. You can't think of stopping refining your work, your processes, your product at any stage. So, very successful branding to all you guys, and I surely hope that you are going to make some great brands. India needs them, unfortunately. And I believe that's because of the nature of the Indian businessman per se. We do not have many great brands, especially at the consumer level, from India. And definitely not in our sphere, that is of jewelry. We need to change that. And trust me, any of y'all who are listening to this can do it. It's just that you need to find your mojo. Good luck with it. Find your mojo and always stay on top. With that, I sign off on the branding aspect that I was to talk about today. And I know there are a few other things that were mentioned in between, but I am now going to jump to the last point that has been mentioned as my agenda for today, because I truly believe that our industry needs it very, very badly, very, very desperately. And considering we are a luxury industry, we are doing a pathetic job of it. No points for guessing what I'm talking about. It is all about visual merchandising. Okay, we as an industry have failed to nail this particular aspect of marketing. I call visual merchandising an aspect of marketing. It is an aspect of enticing your customer, endearing him, tempting him to buying your product. Okay, so I am now going to talk about visual merchandising and not the other topics. We will come to them. I think we have enough time, so we will come to them. So now coming to visual merchandising, we all know that there are two kinds of merchandising that normally we talk of. One is product merchandising and one is visual merchandising. Now, most jewelry companies I know, whether they are the retailers or whether they are the jewelry manufacturers, they all have product merchandisers. How efficient we are is not something I'm going to consider here. Are our product merchandisers true merchandisers? Not something I'm considering here, because what I am going to focus on is only the visual merchandising part. How do you use visual merchandising to the maximum benefit? So now the first question that you'll probably want to know is, what the hell, why is visual merchandising so important? Visual merchandising is important because, first, great visual merchandising gets the attention of the consumer. Having gotten the attention, the next thing it does is arouses that consumer's interest. Once the interest has been aroused, it creates a desire within the consumer to possess, own the product. And once this desire is there, it is a positive encouragement for that customer to get into action. It's a call for action. This is what we all need today. We need to get the attention, the interest, the desire, and a call to action. We find that a lot of consumers don't even wish to enter our stores today. Why? Because we have not kept up with the kind of expectations that the consumers today have. And if the consumer doesn't see any glimmer of hope in getting what he or she desires, why would he even enter your store? Okay. So visual merchandising is actually the first step towards getting the consumer interested and in buying your product. So, what is it that consumers love? Consumers love attractive, eye-catching displays. And creating this enables you to stand out from the competitors. And it also helps you in your branding. I don't know if any of y'all have had the opportunity to visit, say, a New York city during the Christmas period, Christmas time. The kind of visual merchandising that you see, say, at Saks Fifth Avenue or Nordstrom, or even Rockefeller Center, which is just a building, office building, is going to blow your mind. Okay, so what is the primary purpose of visual merchandising? It's what I call AIDA. A-I-D-A. A is arouse interest. I is create the interest. D is to create the desire. And the last A is to act on it. So visual merchandising is all about AIDA. And actually, as I said, it goes way beyond that. If you're a brand and if you have great visual merchandising during various occasions, it goes it's a great way to build your brand image and your brand reputation. Okay. So what are the challenges that the industry is facing today? By industry, I mean our jewelry industry. I think the biggest challenge is the diminishing interest in jewelry. Why that is there are many reasons. I believe the simple reason is that we have more often than not tried to sell an investment rather than a product. Yes, that's true. We tried to sell an investment rather than a product. And now there are so many new avenues available for investing with much better returns that jewelry as an investment is not attractive. And we haven't promoted it as a product. We have not even developed it as a product. We don't even have regular new collections coming out. We don't have seasonal collections coming out. We have nothing. If one or two retailers do it, it doesn't make it a trend or a norm of the industry. It has to be done something at the industry level. So diminishing interest in jewelry. The next challenge is attracting footfalls into our shops. And trust me, what we just talked of, visual merchandising, one of the key benefits is that it would help in attracting footfalls in our shops and making the final sale. Again, visual merchandising is going to help you to do that. And then selling again and again and again. And how is visual merchandising going to help you to do this? Because your visual merchandising, especially the front window, which is the first thing that a customer sees when they walk into your shop, it changes periodically. It changes to convey to the customer the current occasion or trend that is going on. It may not be an occasion, it might be a new trend that is coming up. So a good visual merchandising at the front window is a clear-cut invitation to your existing customer to come and buy again. Okay, so these are challenges that your industry faces, and clearly all of these challenges can be addressed if you do great visual merchandising. So what I'm trying to say is that visual merchandising can become your silent salesperson. Okay, he doesn't say a word, but he conveys everything through the imagery, through the crafts, through various things that you use for your visual merchandising. And trust me, when people say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, they are not kidding. A good visual merchandising display is worth more than anything all of your salespeople put together can say to convince a customer. A good visual merchandising can also help to communicate your strategy, your principles, your beliefs to the consumer. Okay. you need to get professionals to help you to do this. Okay, it's not something that you can do. Nothing in life is a one-man show. You need a team. Your team has to be somebody who is an expert in that aspect of the business that we are talking of, not in everything that you do. Your good visual merchandising can keep your customer informed. Okay, Diwali is coming. You start your visual merchandising and start displaying 15 days before Diwali. Oh, Christmas is coming. Oh, Valentine's is coming. Get them up to speed early. Start displaying well in time so that by the time that event comes, the consumer is already convinced that yes, I need this. Okay? And of course, by changing it periodically, you are going to be conveying to the customer that you as a brand, you as a retailer are always in with the things that are happening around you, whether it is trends, whether it is events, whether it is festivals, whatever. And being in is very important because that means you are there where it matters. You are there where people think you should be. Okay. So, what are the areas that one would normally use visual merchandising? First, as I said, it's the storefront, because that is the first place that a consumer looks when he looks at your shop. And if you are on some high street, if you are in a prominent location, trust me, great visual merchandising is trying to draw people into your store only because your visual merchandising has aroused their interest and has promised them. A good visual merchandising display promises the customer, come inside, we have better stuff. Okay. In the interiors, displays, point of purchase, fixtures, everything can be changed depending on the event that you are promoting. You know, most often we have a very standard store layout. And the minute you walk into a jewelry shop, you know what to expect. Change the store layout. Is it really necessary? That was necessary when 60-year-olds or 50-year-olds used to come and buy with their daughter. Today, the self-purchasing woman, does she really need to sit down on a plush chair in front of a counter with a salesman? No, she wants to browse around. She wants to go and look at what is there. So give her that opportunity. Change the layout of your store. Create zones with different layouts where you have product which is good for the self-earning, self-spending, self-purchasing woman. Create a different layout. It doesn't have to be the same as the layout where you're selling wedding trousseau necklaces and heavy pendants and whatever else that you buy for a wedding. Create two different ambiances. I think it goes a long way to telling the customer that we appreciate what you're looking for. We know what you like, and therefore my product is going to match what you need. I think that's very important. And again, change product packaging if possible. You don't have to create a whole new package. You design your package from the beginning in such a way that there is an area that you keep where you can put stickers depending on the time of the year or the event that you're promoting. It's not rocket science. It's just that you need to think innovatively. There are certain things on your packaging that you will want always in a right position, in some particular position. Cool. Get that pre-printed and everything. But leave an area where you can, trust me, you can get fantastic stickers these days. Okay? Which is going to make your box look better and not inferior in any way whatsoever. Use those stickers to create boxes that are specially made for various occasions. Use these things. There are so many avenues available. And that is why I said that you think about it, it can be done. Okay? If you want it, you're going to get it. Yes, you're going to have to use professionals. Please don't shy away from using that. I have often found that in our industry, we tend not to use professionals because we consider it as a wasteful expense. Trust me, you're completely wrong. All the brands all the successful businesses have gotten where they got by knowing that they are not the best at everything and that they need to use channel partners, consultants, whatever it is, depending on the task, who are experts in that area. And this is an expense that you will never ever regret, because your customers are going to love you for it. Okay? So you can do visual merchandising practically everywhere, inside the shop, outside the shop, with the carry away that your customer is walking out of the shop with, everything. Okay? So your storefront is, of course, the biggest attraction, because it's the first impression. And as they say, first impression is the last impression. Yeah, it's true of human beings, it's true of your shop also. So you arrest their attention and invite them in. Don't make your front store too busy, too complicated. Don't hang out a rod with 100 chains on it. Come on, is that what you really want to do? Too many happenings, too many distractions are not what you want. Consumers nowadays have much shorter attention spans than they had earlier. Fact of life. Why? Because there are too many other things happening all the time. So that's the only reason. But they have much shorter attention spans. Stop them from rushing and get them to come in. Make a display which is going to be, what they call a showstopper. Somebody is just walking by. He has no intention of entering a jewelry shop. He has no intention or intent to buy anything right now. Your front display should be such that that person stops and says, boy, let me at least have a look at what they're offering. Once they come inside, not only is your visual merchandising going to continue playing its role as what you have done on the inside, but then it is up to you training your salespersons to make sure that such a walk-in does not go away without his or her interest being aroused to come back and close the deal. You may not buy it at that time, but make sure that you have conveyed, communicated clearly, very efficiently, and give them the SOPs. If you are offering SOPs, make sure that they know about it. Okay? Maybe they say, I don't have money right now. Oh, no problem, ma'am. I can send a man home to deliver it to you with a card machine. Today it's possible. Close the deal. Do everything that you need to close the deal. So start at the beginning with your window. Bring them in, let them see the same consistency, again important, consistency of the visual merchandising with the props and the trays and everything else that is inside. You can add streamers, you can add balloons, I don't know what, so many things you can do. Make sure that your salespeople are trained periodically. It's not a big training where you require a whole day or something. It may be as simple as just giving them a nice printout or a video. Today, making a video on a phone is what? 10-minute job. In 10 minutes, you can convey to your team by creating a video of what they are expected to say about the event. They need knowledge. They need technical knowledge of the product, gold, diamond, whatever else. But they also need knowledge about what your brand is promoting during that period. Is it really very difficult? I don't think so. And these videos, they are not to be professionally created. It's for internal use only. It is to communicate to your team of what they are supposed to say about this event. Okay? So, once you've done this, it's a major win. Don't always judge your successes by the amount of sales you make. Yes, it is important. No doubt about it, it is the revenue that is going to keep your business running. So it is important. I'm not kidding on that front. But you need to understand that Rome wasn't won in a day. In the same way, all customers are not won in a day. There will be customers who will be won in a day because they are the ones who have either come and visited you before or visited someone else before, where they knew they wanted but didn't like the other person. Great for you. What more do you want? If you can get a person coming in and buying at the first time and making sure that you deliver on his expectations, it's super. What else would you look for? This is the key to unlocking your potential. And visual merchandising, I cannot stop emphasizing on how very important visual merchandising is. Okay. So, how do you go about it? As I said, first thing, you need to make sure that you have an expert. It need not be just a consultant or an outsider. It could be somebody within the family. It could be maybe your daughter is great at doing these things. Maybe your son is great at doing these things. Great. But you need an expert. Okay. Now, once you have the expert, you need to use your short pencil and make a list of what you're going to need to do great visual merchandising. So the first step, determine the purpose. Why are you doing that visual merchandising? Promote Diwali sales, promote Dussehra sales, promote Valentine's sales. They are all going to have a different look and feel. Different Mother's Day, Father's Day, everything. It's not the same theme that works every day. And just putting a different poster isn't going to cure it all. You really need to create a theme for each of these events that you're going to. So establish the purpose, determine the purpose. And then once you know the purpose, okay, I'm going to promote Valentine's Day, determine a nice concept. Everybody does hearts, but there is a heart and a heart and a heart, which is different. Okay. And out of those hearts, there's one you like and one you hate. So establish a concept. Don't ever be afraid of going wrong. I truly believe that every failure also is a success provided you learn from it. Not that we want this, but use surveys. Talk to your existing customers. Just get friends on this thing. Create a network where you can test. Say you're coming out with some new heart concept. I can't even think of it, but you're coming out with a new heart concept. Maybe if you have a bunch of followers whom you are willing to interact with and show them your concept before it goes into production, the chances of your coming out with the right concept will increase. So, what are the messages you want to convey? New product offering. Is there something as simple as a sale or a special offer? Is there a holiday offering or a festival promotion? Whatever it is, maybe you're just offering a new service. In fact, I did this many years back with a retailer, and we had a tremendous success in selling mountings. What we did is come with your old solitaire. While you are standing in the shop, our setter will set your stone in a new mounting that you select and polish it for you and deliver it to you. And while you are there, this whole process, which would take 1 hour, we will give you nice tea and coffee and snacks and everything else. It's the new service offering. I know people who came with a ring saying, I want this, and then they loved one of the earring mountings that was there, and they bought another stone to make an earring out of it. I'm not saying you expect this, but this is the way to definitely think and innovate. At the end of the day, if during that, 3-day festival, we had a 3-day festival, I know. Even 3-day festival, you can sell close to about 70 mountings. I think it's a great business. And most of the mountings had smaller stones on the side. So it wasn't just a total washout of selling gold. Okay. So step 1, determine the purpose and establish the concept. Now, once you have done that, you have to ensure that the visible impact of your visual merchandising. It's at the end of the day, there's a reason why it's called visual merchandising. Okay. So the visible impact and the visibility, it cannot be that your say you have a store with a great front-facing this thing on the main street, but right in front of your store there is a bus stop. I mean, happens. These things happen in life. Okay, and because of the bus stop, the bottom 2 feet of your showcase is not visible. Have the most attractive things 2 feet above. Use the 2 feet below for certain other things. That's where the expertise will come in. But make sure that you get the right visibility for the visual merchandising that you're doing. Okay, and then there are smaller things just as a part of your design and planning. What is the font size? Can it be read from 2 feet? Can it be read from 10 feet? Now, if you are on the main road and you expect people, you want somebody driving past, so he should be able to probably read from a distance of 15 or 20 feet. So make sure that the font and the size that you use for the font makes for easy readability the way you want people to see it. How big a scale? You cannot create something that is 40 feet wide in just one poster. Nobody can see the whole poster unless they are 400 feet away. So the scale has to be such that it is easy to look at the whole picture. Okay? Whenever you are creating this, rather than just 2D effects, try to create 3D. Even if you're pasting posters at the back of the showcase, if you can make them 3D, make them 3D. Goes a long way into conveying and looking at it from different angles, giving a different impression. Very, very important. Okay. Whenever you are creating such a thing, make sure that there is always one focal point. There will be 3 things that you are showing, 5 things also that you are showing. Don't show 10, it's too much. People get confused. It's 3 things you are showing, but one of them has to be the focal point. And that central focus has to be very, very creative, very, very impactful. Okay. The second and third become your secondary and tertiary options. They also need to be good. And group these items in such a way that when the person scans, he knows what he's looking at, what is the main focus, what is the less focus. And once he has this, the person always knows what he can afford. Once he has this primary, secondary, tertiary options in front of him, he knows that, okay, he's going to find something that suits him. He's going to find something that fits his requirements, whether it's price, whether it's design, whatever it is. Okay, so create a focal point. Use props and product for your visual merchandising, which conveys very clearly the message that you are out to convey. No compromise on that. If you are out to tell them something, make sure that that's the message that goes. So if you are going to say, present a collection which is very basic, very elementary, one of those evergreen kind of things which you will wear year on year on year. Say geometric designs, very simple geometric design of earrings, rings, pendants, which are made out of nice thin bars. Are you going to put a nice floral display around it? No. Why would you do that? Exactly. So you have to create the display, the props, everything which has to be conceptual to your product. So it can either be along similar lines or it can be starkly different. Okay, you are showing your collection of platinum, say. Okay, platinum and color. Let your props be stark black, matte finish. Stark. Make it either strikingly different or let it be conceptual with your collection. So the product and props are also very important. The lighting. Lighting is something that can be done so innovatively. And I know I have used such lighting even when there were no halogen focal lamps or LED lamps available, where we were creating a window where there is light only on the 3 pieces of jewelry and the rest of the window looks black. Lighting supports your concept. It can support your product. It can make your whole merchandising exercise look far more superior. There are different options available. So you can get the effect that you want, okay? And that effect actually creates a mood. And if done well, it actually enhances the desire of the person to buy. Okay, so it enhances the focal and secondary points, and then that desire that is created within the consumer is escalated. So an important part is going to be the background of your visual merchandising display, especially at the front of the store. Make sure that the background conveys very clearly what the event is, what is it that you are promoting. And at any stage, your brand has to be present. You cannot have a show window which does not mention your name, your brand name, your brand logo. Your brand has to be mentioned. And it can be done in multiple ways, but you have to mention your brand. And therefore, at times, you might have to compromise on certain colors you use so that your brand colors don't destroy the effect of the visual merchandising that you are creating. Be innovative. Oh, I'm not even going to say anything more on this. As I have said once before, innovate or perish. So you have to be innovative. Okay? Change frequently. As I said, maybe you should make a calendar and say, okay, I'm going to celebrate 10 events this year. Every 5 weeks, I'm going to have a new event. Cool, do it. That means you are inviting customers into your shop for a new reason, maybe and hopefully with some new product every 5 weeks. How better can it get? Okay, and if there's no event to celebrate, create your own event once in a way. It doesn't have to be something established. It doesn't have to be a Mother's Day or a Valentine's Day or anything. Create an event of your own. Create an event, create a special product at a price that suits that kind of an occasion, and create a special, say thank you to your teacher. Just create it. Okay, so you can create your own event, but you need to change frequently. And you need to maintain continuity. It cannot be one-offs. You cannot just make a visual merchandising effort once a year. That's not going to help. Okay, so the interiors and everything, you can change your interiors. Nowadays, you get beautiful vinyl sheets which can be just covered, very classy, very well made, of high quality, which you can paste in front of your counter to give it a new look every time you're doing a new event. So maintain all the continuity throughout your visual merchandising exercise. Okay, and always your visual merchandising exercise should demonstrate your design strengths. You cannot have passe visual merchandising and do designer collections inside. Your window also has to be designer. So visual merchandising is basically about everything that the customer sees, from the exterior to the interior, and all of it should contribute to creating a positive image of your brand, of your retail network, of whatever it is you are trying to convey. And as I said in the beginning, all of it has to result, the final result is IDA: attention, interest, desire, and action. So once this is done, you are in for a booming time when your footfalls are going to increase exponentially. Okay, so having said this, I think I still have about 15 minutes more. Okay, so I'm quickly going to run through some of the other things, and I think the first thing I would like to take here is about store management. what is it? What are the key factors you should remember about managing your store? Okay. So as I said, a store is not only about product. A store is not only about the sales team. A store is not only about the cleanliness with which you maintain. Or a store is not about how much money you've spent on interior decoration. All of this put together and creating a unique image that conveys the personality of your brand is what a store is all about. Your store at all times should be designed to keep the interest of the consumer alive. The consumer is coming to your store because he or she has heard, has seen something about your brand, where they liked some aspect of it. May not be all of it, but all the aspects that you have been communicating should be kept alive, so that when that consumer walks in, even that one single aspect that he or she liked, which drove him to your store, should be there, and he should be able to see its presence even inside the store. Your store has to keep the interest alive of any person who is walking in. And primary, whether Gandhiji said it or whether anybody else said it, pay attention to your customers. That is the reason why you are here in the business. You are here to serve your customers. You are here to fulfill the desires of your customers. You are here to make sure that the customer spends a part of his wallet with you, so that both you and the customer can go on and keep surviving. Pay attention to your customers. Okay? Keep your staff completely up to date and motivated. Up to date, as I said, even when you're doing a promotion, maybe even 10 times a year, create that short video where you're messaging out to them what are the key points about that promotion which the salesperson can use to convey the whole idea to the consumer. Keep them up to date. If there is a new product coming in, make sure that they are all up to date on the product. Don't let them flounder. The worst thing your salesperson can do is maybe once, okay, but all the time saying, okay, I'll get back to you, or let me ask my colleague, or let me ask my manager. No way. The salesperson should be up to date, okay, and they should be motivated. A salesperson who's not motivated is a way of telling the customer, go away, we don't want to sell to you. Keep your sales team motivated at all times. Why sales team? I have been to shops where even the cashier is so motivated and so trained and so knowledgeable that he or she will comment on the purchase I've made, give me some suggestions, and as you know, nowadays, even at the cashier counter, there are things that you can buy. And that cashier will also tell you that, hey, sir, you bought this, please, this will go great with it. And sir, it's only 500 rupees. So keep your staff up to date and motivated. Make sure that everything is put in such a way that you catch the customer's eye. The store layout has to be such, and always define and follow principles of how you're going to display your goods in which area of your store. Something new, something that you are wanting your customer to see very easily. Make sure that it is upfront and central to the store. Things that you know are bread and butter, which everybody is going to come and buy all the time, let them be at the back. So that when people have to walk through to go and reach that shelf or that product, they are seeing all the new things and the fancy things that you have. Manage your inventory very, very well. Inventory, dead inventory is the biggest curse for any retailer, especially in our industry. So sell off at a discount. Whatever is the best you can do. Slow moving items. If you can't sell them off, just melt it. melt it and get something new made. But don't keep dead inventory. Dead inventory is a curse and is one of the most expensive things that you can waste money on in a store. And to do this well, manage your inventory well, make sure that you establish and maintain a very proactive supply chain. Don't work with anybody and everybody. Make sure that they will live up to your needs, whether it is product quality, whether it is product design, whether it is finance terms, whatever it is. All of these, your vendor should be able to cater to and live up to your requirements. Once this is done, you are set to run a great store. I'm not talking of things like cleanliness and making sure that the store is spick and span. Those are givens. Those are not things that are additional anymore. Those are the basic things. A customer does not want to walk into a store that is not clean. A customer does not walk into a store that is not got nice, happy people standing there to greet them. Those are givens. Those are not things that give you a brownie point anymore. Okay? So this is the aspect of store management that we are talking about. And then one thing that everybody has always been worried about, ever since I can remember, is competition. I guess it's because we're trained from day one to believe that competition is something we always have to be very, very careful about. I don't believe so. I know from school you're told, "Arey, first aane ka hai. You have to come first. Nobody wants. You should make sure that they come." Is it really necessary? In fact, let me ask you guys, how many of you know toppers in school who have become toppers in life? Nope. Even I don't. So, competition is something that is debatable on how to handle it. But let me, over the next 5 minutes, just give you a brief idea of how I would tackle competition. So to find out about the competition, the first thing is to do a thorough market research before you develop and launch your product. If there are 20 people already existing who are doing the same thing, and you do not have ideas how you're going to do it different, then you are going to compete with those 20 people. And when you are not doing any different, what is the way you will compete? You have the same quality, you have the same kind of designs, you have the same, what will you compete on? Price, right? And then we are going to say what? There are no margins. This business has become a dud. Is it? We made it a dud because we did not check out the competition and we did not make a plan on how to get rid of that competition. So, first do your market research, check out what is happening in that space, and then study those existing products and figure out your competitive differentiation. That is what is your way, your path to creating a niche for yourself. And once you build your own niche, you have much more room for business. Simple. Having a niche, having a differentiated product naturally gives you a price advantage. But get the pricing correct. Don't get the pricing thinking that, oh, I have something that nobody else can duplicate at such a level that it does not deliver value for the consumer. So you need to get your pricing correct. And once all of this is done, the next step where you need to go is to identify and solve the pain points of your consumer. If you identify and solve their pain points before and better than your competitors, your competitor is left behind. Identify and solve your pain points of your customers better and faster than that the competitor does. And this is basically what I call improving your customer service. And always keep your eyes, ears open. And as I said, keep using your short pencil to know your past and, more importantly, your future competitors. If you hear in the market that somebody is coming up with a concept similar to you, fine, you're going to be copied. And it's a great way to be appreciated, but it can kill your business at the end of the day. So the minute you find that, minute you find your future competitor, make sure that you start working on getting to the next level. Let him start, but you go to the next level, which will again take him some time to catch up with. And actually, that's one of the best parts of competition. Competition, if taken well, is something that will make you relentlessly refine. We come back to those two words. Okay? And to do this, you need to accept and play what we call the idea exchange game. Within your entire organization, within your friends, invite your customers for a brainstorming session, idea exchange game, on how they would feel they were served better by you. Sure, there'll be some who'll come and point out your deficiencies, but isn't that what you want to remove at the end of the day? Call your customers, why not? And if they all come and say, wow, you're doing a brilliant job, even if they don't give you any new idea, it's still worth the effort. At least you and your team know that whatever you've been doing is being appreciated. And that's a great feeling, trust me. Okay? So have this idea exchange game always in place. Get your staff to sit and brainstorm. Build relationships with your competitors. I'm sure all of you are looking at me and saying, this guy is now going nuts. He's talked too much and he's lost it. But I truly believe that building relationship with your competitors can help to grow the industry on the whole in a big way. You don't have to build relationships where you share every secret about your business or your design. But everybody has pain points where there are solutions existing and you don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. Yes, you need to keep reinventing yourself, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. Build relations with your competitors to the extent where it allows a healthy exchange of information so that both of you thrive and not waste resources in any way whatsoever. Okay? And always win your customer, not with just your product, but with your heart and mind. There are so many ways in which your heart works. In fact, I was reading a storybook to my granddaughter just yesterday night. And there was, that was some book about Dino or Dina or something like that. And where she's celebrating her birthday and somebody called Igu, who comes from a poor family, does not have money to buy her a gift. But Igu had such a big heart that he got a box, an old box, in which were a few old toys, which were his own toys, which he gave to Dina. Dina was so touched with this. This was really a heart-filling gesture on the part of Igu. And Dina was so touched that her most favorite doll, which she had received from her parents for the birthday on the same day, she gave it to Igu in appreciation. Win with your heart and mind. Again, make innovation your best friend. I can never stop talking about innovation. Anything I talk about, anything I do, innovation is an essential part. So make innovation your best friend. And the last thing I want to say is something that you have to be very, very, very careful about. Beware of no competitors. If you are in a space where there are no competitors, or you think there are no competitors, you need to be so agile and so on your feet that you are not caught by surprise when competition steps in, and that you constantly strive to stay ahead in that position of no competition. Okay? Doing all these things will, trust me, give you a distinct competitive advantage, which will make you get a better price, a better service, a better loyal customer, everything that you want as a retailer. Doing all this will definitely get you that. Okay, so I think I end my my talk here. I hope you've not been bored, and that this Saturday morning has been something that has given you a good amount of insight into everything that happens. And please, if you have any questions, please post them. I am here to answer whatever you need. Yeah. So, thank you, everybody. I'm now going to address some of the questions that have come up. The first question I have here is from Galaxy A10s. I'm guessing that's the name of a company or something. But Galaxy A10s, how do we find out big and small artificial intelligence data? There are plenty of ways to do this, and I think the best way to do it is to first find out and identify on what subject do you need the artificial intelligence data. Because AI is becoming such a narrow field that an answer to one question will definitely not be an answer to the next question. So if you, and there are multiple ways of finding out all this data. Of course, as for everything today, Google is the best option, but there are many other ways in which you can find out. So once you have a detailed requirement, I think your search for the artificial intelligence data will be much easier. I have another question from the same person. Give me your contact number, sir. Okay, I would prefer that you connect with me by email. And my email is me@Shah Hemant. Shah is my surname, Hemant is my name, shahhemant.com. The Nokia 6. You have asked me a question, what are the reasons that local and regional jewelry brands have not been successful in India? Do you think it is still possible to have local and regional brands in India? Regards, Anand. Okay, I get your name. Sorry, Anand, I didn't see that. Okay. Yes, Anand, I do believe that even today there is ample scope. See, jewelry is something that a woman is always going to want. And trust me when I say that whenever I have conducted surveys or talked to groups of women, unfortunately I have not talked to groups of men, but whenever I have talked to groups of women on the criteria by which they would go and select a piece of jewelry, price has never been their top priority. It has always been design. They want the best design possible, they want a good quality, they want a good ambience. Okay, so once we build all this, and I think everything I said today is going to go towards this, whether you do visual merchandising, whether you create a good brand with a good communication strategy, all of it is going to help you to create local and regional jewelry brands. Why local and regional? Why are you thinking small? I think you can create national and international brands. We have it in us. It's just that we don't have the patience. I don't think a brand can be created in 5 days. And most of the time, we think of ourselves and our businesses as a trading house, where we buy something and sell it 2 days later for a 5% margin. But if I tell you, okay, buy this, keep it, and after 1 month you'll get 20%, you're not going to do it. So, yes, you need to. It is possible that you can create a brand. And then I have someone called TJ Huawei Mate 20. Okay, Hemant sir, I would like to know what are the top 3 points a jewelry designer must do to develop their brand. Oh, this is very simple. I again don't have your name, but let me call you Mate. This is very simple, Mate. It is innovate, innovate, innovate. I hope that answers your question. Then we have, sir, can you please give an example of attitude of a jewelry brand? What will reflect the attitude of a designer's brand? How will it be visible to the consumer? You see a piece of Cartier jewelry, and I don't think you need to look at the label to know it is a Cartier. That is the power of a brand. That is the consistency of creating a good design. Okay, you look at a Mont Blanc and you know it's a Mont Blanc from the simple flower emblem that is always on it. There are different ways in which you build attitude and communicate it to the person who is buying your product as well as to the person who is viewing your product. So each one can create his own way, his own strategy of communicating his attitude. You will find designers who are always funky designers. Okay, they don't do run-of-the-mill product. They do flashy things, big things. That's their style. That's their attitude. So it depends on the designer. It is not something where you will get a standard answer to. It is something that you will feel within your heart, saying, I want to create this. And that is what is going to help you to do it. Next question I have is from Karuna N. What are the factors that affect precious jewelry behavior in India and why? Multiple factors, Karuna. I think, as I mentioned somewhere during my presentation, one of the biggest challenges for jewelry in India has been that traditionally we have always sold jewelry as a investment. Okay, one of the first things a jeweler talks about is a return policy and money back and how much will be deducted and how much will he get and whatever else, because it's an investment. Now, this has led to multiple problems. The first problem is that when you're selling an investment, if it costs 100 rupees, and on that you say that, okay, my margin or my profit is 20 rupees. Okay, that means that person who is buying your piece of jewelry is first going to say, I am getting goods worth only 80 rupees. And so till there is an increase of 25% in the value, I am not even going to recover the money I'm putting in. Fair enough. If it's an investment, that's how you would think. And therefore, what happens is that the retailer also understands this, and therefore he sells that piece of jewelry saying that it has got 95 worth of raw material, which is not true. It has got only 80. So what does he do? He cheats. Because he needs that 20, he says that 95, but he can only give 80, and therefore instead of 14 karat, he gives 12 karat. Or instead of 22, he gives 18. And this is what has been happening in India. And it's the same on the diamond front. Some people say it's a VS, and then when you open it and go to check it out, it's an SI. Same thing is happening. And somebody who bucked this trend and are doing very well and are into a business, they're selling at a good profit, is Titan. Okay, so that is one part of it. The second part is the reason for purchase. More often than not, wedding is the time when people buy jewelry. Okay, but should it be like that? No, and we haven't done anything to promote that. So I hope, Karuna, this answers your question. Okay, I have Karuna again with the same question. What are the factors that affect precious jewelry behavior in India? Why is the online jewelry market not as well developed despite the huge demand? Okay, that is the second part of the question, Karuna. The reason is very simple. I think we have not reached a stage where the consumer tends to trust the jeweler very easily. In fact, it's probably the reverse. And therefore, for somebody to buy a 100,000 rupee necklace on the net without seeing it, touching it, feeling it is well nigh impossible. Okay, so I think this is something that will take very long. Whatever jewelry is sold today on the thing is actually very small jewelry. Or some of the people who are selling bigger jewelries have stores to support them, or they have some kind of a system by which you will send the piece of jewelry to that customer to view and whatever else that is necessary. So I think it all boils down to first the reputation of the jeweler and the trust that you can create. Okay, how to increase my jewelry business online? Karuna, I think I just answered this question and I have nothing more to add to it. I now have a Rachna Pandey. When it comes to branding, the single shops tend to lose out to big brands like Tanishq, TBZ. Please suggest a solution. Okay, I don't really agree with you, Rachna, on this, that single brands tend to lose their thing. I think the challenge comes from the assortment, the merchandise and the promotions and the visual merchandising and branding and everything that we talked of. I think why the single shops lose is that because even as a single shop, they are not doing all of those things. Whereas the chains, of course, they have the cost advantage in the sense that one design across maybe 50 stores and therefore the designing cost is smaller. Whereas if the one single shop is going to do it, the designing cost is only there. But at the end of the day, if a single shop were to do all of the things that we talked about, I do not believe that a big brand like Tanishq or TVZ, in fact, the single shop may have advantage because he's local and his local customers really like him. They trust him. So if he can convey this and if he can create this kind of a image for himself, I think he's at an advantage. And of course, today he can easily make sure that his presence is known all over the country to begin with, or all over the state where he works from, and make sure that people know him, people see his product, and therefore, of course, then he'll have to make systems. Maybe he offers a driver service to people, a chauffeur service for them to come to his shop if they're a little away in the city. Various things. It's a question of constantly innovating, thinking out of the box, and doing the right thing. Akash M. I have this next question from Akash M. How can Indian retailers change their method of retailing, like how retailing is done abroad? Do they need to change their interiors of their showroom, like how Apple has made their retail outlets, to target customers in the right way? Akash, I think I had partially answered this question when I said that the interiors of the store should not be one simple common look. You have to target different audiences, display different product categories in different ways. I think one of the biggest things that an Indian retailer really needs to learn is not to display and show or exhibit their products under product categories. Most retailers that you go to today will display 500 chains and 100 rings and 200 pendants and whatever else that they have all together. I think this is a mistake. You need to display them more as collections. And once you do this itself, it's going to be a big change. Okay, so that's one of the things that I would say. And of course, as I said a little earlier in my presentation, having different kinds of ambiances for different kinds of customers will go a long way in making the customer feel at home and more interested and prone to buy. I hope that answers your question. Karan Kakur. I have this question from Karan Kakur. Hello, Mr. Shah. How do we choose a brand color scheme? What about our products can help us choose specific colors to enhance the brand image and ability to get attention from people to register our brand with its colors? Okay, Karan, I'm not the best person that can give you an answer to all these details that you're looking at. You'll probably have to go to a designer who's be able to answer you. But from what little knowledge I have, the first thing is that every color implies and denotes something. Okay, so that is one of the aspects that you will keep in mind when designing a brand color. The second is, of course, the aesthetic value. And then the third, about how your product, I don't think a product is something that would determine the brand color, because by doing that, you might end up restricting your product offering. So I don't think that is the way one would go. But as I said, you need to use experts, and to get the best brand logo, brand color and everything designed, I think you need to go to an expert who works in that area. I'm sorry, I'm using something. Okay, I'm going to take this. Nokia 6 is again asking me a question. Sir, is there a relationship between visibility, social media, and credibility in jewelry branding? There is always a relationship between any two activities you do. And as long as it is done with consistency, honesty, and integrity, I do not believe that there is a challenge anywhere. You can be the best of brands and still be on Instagram or Facebook or anything. In fact, all the brands are there. Okay, so I don't think there is any problem there, and therefore there is always a relationship between visibility and credibility. Okay. I have another question from Rachna Pandey. I feel after your presentation that there is a dearth of brand education among industry members. What is the future, keeping in mind the large millennial consumers that have to be serviced? Mohan. Okay, it shows me Rachna Pandey. It says Mohan. What? I don't know whom I should address this to Rachna or Mohan. But to address this question, I definitely agree that there is a dearth of brand education among industry members. And I think one of the main reasons is that the industry members have been averse to using outside talent, whether it is because of the expense or because they don't trust them, or what is the reason, I do not know. But they are averse to using outside talent. And I definitely believe that there is no one single solution that is available for everything. Okay, so there is a lot of thing. I believe that we are capable of creating great brands. It's just that we lack the focus, we lack the initiative, and we lack the process of doing it. So, well, and you need to do it. When I said in the beginning that the millennials are very brand conscious, I was very serious about it, and I do believe that they look for brands. It's not, as I said, about the ego or showing the name, but it is about telling them or about realizing that this brand gives me these values which I appreciate. Delcy D'Souza. What, according to you, is difference between product merchandising and brand merchandising? Daisy, I don't know what you mean by brand merchandising. Okay, there is product merchandising and there is visual merchandising. Merchandising is normally done when there are multiple options available. Now, if as a retailer you are carrying many external brands, then maybe you have the question of brand merchandising. Okay, and there's a big difference in every aspect. because brand merchandising will include both visual and product merchandising. Okay, product merchandising in the sense that, okay, if you're a watch shop alone, then you're not going to keep a brand that is selling clothes. Okay, so that's product merchandising. In the same way, if you are going to create a shop that is based like an Apple shop, where you have your own counters everywhere with your interior design, then maybe a Rolex is going to find it difficult to come into your shop. So there are a lot of factors that need to get into, but it depends on what your need is, Daisy. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Ravi K, what is the jeweler agitation and ban in India is all about? How is it going to impact the jewelry business? I am sorry, Ravi, I don't understand this question at all. I don't know what you mean by the jeweler agitation, and I don't know what you mean by banned in India is all about. If you can be more clear, I will answer you. Otherwise, I have no way of answering what you're talking about. Shrenik Mehta has asked me, what is the estimated size of the online jewelry retail market in India? Shrenik, just Google it. I don't think I have an accurate answer for you. Santosh Wagmare, do you feel that the reason for local sales of jewelry going down could be directly connected to lack of innovation of designs? Absolutely, you're right on the spot. Innovate or perish. I think I've said that often enough, and I'm sure we all realize that as an industry, we have not innovated. We've not innovated. Forget to what extent. We've just not innovated. So yes, Santosh, you're right. Lack of innovation has been the biggest challenge. Again, I have Shrenik Mehta. The average ticket size for jewelry online is less. How can this be increased? Develop more product, develop better sales teams, actually start selling collections rather than just rings or earrings. That would automatically increase the ticket size. This is from Prithvi. Hello, Hemant Uncle. Hi, Prithvi. Love the presentation. Thank you so much. I always knew you were a flatterer. What are your thoughts on online visual merchandising? How can brands make use of an increasing online consumer base to sell medium and high ticket size items using this concept? Prithvi, I believe there is tremendous opportunity here. I am of the opinion that anything can be done online today. And let me give you an example. I run a company called Alcraftist, which makes jewelry based on various crafts, dokra, bidri, paper mache. Now we are toying with wood carving. Okay, all of this is done by a team that is all remote. I work with 11 designers who are scattered all across the country, right from Dehradun to Chennai. Okay, I don't even meet them once a year, and it works. I learn a lot of things online. I teach a lot of things online. Okay, it's a question of having a will to do it and being able to pursue it. In our industry, I have found that more often than not, people do not believe in paying for expertise and knowledge both. And that is the biggest challenge. With great visual merchandising, I mean, I'll tell you, I use a website called Flickr for a lot of the presentations I make. I don't need to sit with that person to design anything. Online communication, online explanations, online transfer of data solves all of it. In fact, maybe it would be a great idea for you guys as Gem Atlas to do something online on this front. Yeah, that leaves you with a thought, Prithvi. Thanks. Kamlesh Desai, how can visual merchandising technique like the one you mentioned be implemented into an online store? Oh, every part of it, the way you display your product, the way you display your price, the way the banner is there on your website, everything can be replicated and have a visual merchandising. In fact, one of the simplest things I will tell you, look at Google. Every time you start Google, the way Google is written is different depending on the event. Simple. You can do it. Kamesh, no issue at all. Prakash Shinde. What are the best ways to show my designs to people without any, there is no way to do it. Prakash, if people want to copy, they will always copy. It's just that you have to stay ahead of the game and keep coming up with something new all the time. Santosh Wagmare, hi Hemant, great presentation, really enjoyed listening to you. Thank you, Santosh. I am a retailer and wanted to know if try-on technology of jewelry is a good idea to implement for giving a better feel for customers. Yes, and there is one, Mirar, who are doing a good job at this, and I think that's a great idea, Santosh. Ajay Marfatia, how much do you feel is the right amount to spend on social media? Should it be a percentage of projected sales or should it be a percentage of sales in the previous year? None of this, Ajay. It depends on your goals. If you're a new company and you're starting off and you say percentage of sales, that means you're not going to spend anything. Okay. Or if you say previous year, not going to spend. It depends on what you want to achieve. It's not depending on what you're already doing. Surya R. Should branded retail outlets promote heritage and handmade jewelry as premium jewelry? Will this help bring back heritage? And of course, no doubt about it, Surya. This is the way to go. Everything. In fact, if any of you know, there was a recent symposium held called India Jewelry Excellence Symposium. I was one of the speakers there, and my topic there was the future is in tradition. I'm propagating the idea that the traditional crafts can build a great future for our industry. So, Surya, that's the way to go. Karuna, what factors into your decision to buy a product? Karuna, to answer this, I would require over an hour, but to make it very simple, it depends on what your selling strategy is, who your target audience is, what are the price points your target audience would want, and various other factors. Bala Subramaniam Sivakumar. How do the manufacturers' branding works in retailer showroom? Even though the manufacturer is ready to promote the brand to support the sales of the retailers are electing to permit. Okay, first of all, the thing is, it has to have a different strategy. To give you a simple example, and the most prominent example that comes to mind is Intel Inside. Intel has no product that the consumer sees, but they have managed to create a B2B brand by insisting that the people who use their product write Intel Inside. It's a different strategy altogether, and well, it's one that can be that should be pursued, and yes, it can definitely be fruitful in the long run. Kamlesh Desai, is a retail showroom the way to go, or is it more profitable and beneficial to open an online showroom? Kamlesh, these are questions that cannot be answered without knowing what is the product, what is the kind of category, who is your target audience, so many different things. So I'm sorry, I don't think I can be of much help in this right now. Ajay Mafatia, I want to franchise my retail business. Please give me some suggestions on how I can do the same. I think you need to find a consultant who will help you to do this, because nobody can tell you about how to franchise your retail business without knowing what your retail business currently is. What is the product? What are the price points? What are the services you offer? Various other factors. I don't think I can answer you this question with any greater detail. Daisy D'Souza, how will small jewelry retailers stand opposite to compare well-known jewelry retailer brands? By doing the better thing, by constantly innovating, by giving better service. There are so many ways in which this can be done, Daisy. I don't think you need me to spell that out. It's just a question of you sitting down and, as I said, finding out what are the pain points of your customer, why they go to that bigger brand, and then finding solutions so that they come to you. Karan Kakur, how can we use what all you have spoken about in today's market that has a lower demand for jewelry compared to previous years? It is because the demand is lowering that you need to do all that I am talking of, Karan, not the other way about. So you need to start thinking how you will do all these things so that people start walking into the stores. Ravi K, the points discussed in webinar regarding branding, retail jewelry is also applicable for any other business. If I want to start, sure, Ravi, any business, the principles, basic principles are the same. Ajay Mahafatia, what training techniques can I implement to train my store staff? Get a good trainer. Ajay, it's not something that you can do all on your own. You can train them by webinars, you can train them live. The choice is yours, but you need to get professionals to train them. Prakash Shinde, how do I start a brand from being a small retailer? I think Prakash have just established all that through the entire 1.5 hour of my talk. Just start using all those ideas. Shrenik Mehta, how do you think with e-tailers coming, how does the traditional business cope with such competition? Very easy. Look at what our local Karyana guys are doing. I think there's a lesson to be learned from them. Paul M, how can I market lab-grown diamond jewelry in my store? Should I distinguish between them or show them as similar product? This is a no-brainer, Paul. You have to distinguish between them. You have to be transparent. You have to call a spade a spade. There is no other way to do it. Martha Rodrigues, how do jewelry shops attract customers? I think I have talked enough about that, Martha, already. I think you need to just start practicing, start from visual merchandising, branding, and go all the way. How can I promote my jewelry business? Again, Martha, same question, same answer. Martha, how do you select the right geographic target for promoting your business? It depends on your printer and various other things. Who is your target audience? Who's the kind of product that you are selling, Martha? Galaxy, how we find out big and small? I have already answered this. A question from Manos Printer, do certifying hallmarking agencies add value to brands or rather unwanted? Oh, Manos, this is a total no-brainer. Especially considering the reputation that the Indian jeweler holds, hallmarking is a must. There is no compromise on that. By and large, and unfortunately, I'm very sorry to say this also, but by and large, the impression of the Indian jeweler is that he is not honest till proven honest. And you cannot change or break the mindset of a consumer very easily. Knowing that, you have to prove yourself honest, and therefore hallmarking is a must. It is not an unwanted expenditure. It is something that you need to do and start doing it ASAP. I hope that answers your question, MP. URY, somebody called Mahima. Mr. Shah, what would you say on the dress code of a showroom staff in relation to the emphasis on visual merchandising? Oh, get them to dress up as per the visual merchandising theme of that season. Nothing like it. Okay, so if you're celebrating Valentine's Day, let them be in those filmy, nice frilly shirts and trousers and with maybe a red bow or something. Or if they are celebrating Dashera, let them be in the dhoti, kurta and a pagdi on their head. Nothing like it. Makes the ambience complete. Why not? I hope that answers your question, Mahima. Last question of the day. Sujit Mehta, what should be the best course for the jewelry business? I'm sorry, Sujit. I don't really understand your question. And a business, there is no best course till you decide what you want to achieve. So like I said about branding and about everything else, you need to first figure out what it is you want, what is your goal, and then you will be able to find out the path to it. If you don't know your goal, there is no path to it. I hope that answers the question, Sujit. Okay, I think I'm done. If Prithvi, who introduced me, or anybody else is taking over, please go ahead and do so. And I think I'd like to thank the audience for being so patient. I know I don't have the best voice, but you endured me for close to 2 hours, which is much appreciated. Thank you very much.